Good evening. Thank you all for being here. We're really thrilled to have you. My name is Kate Becker. I'm the director of the Office of Film and Music. Thank you for joining us tonight. We do this every month. It's called The Mixer. We do it the last Wednesday of every month. And we always have some sort of speaker or presentation along with networking. Tonight we are super honored to have the Paper Tigers team here with us, along with Vivian Howe from the Northwest Film Forum, and Bao Tran, Dan Gildark, and Alan Duong from Paper Tigers. So they'll be coming up here momentarily. Thank you all for being here. Thanks to our partners, thanks to Joe, our tech, to Jason and Ashraf for having us, and to my colleagues, Scott and Allie, who are helping produce this event. Thank you all for being here. Welcome. Excuse me, Ms. Amy Lillard's going to take the stage for a moment and talk to you about Film Day.
Hey there. That's okay. I'm Amy Lillard. I'm the film commissioner. I want to introduce a couple of new Washington Filmworks staff members. I see Rochelle. Oh, and there's Nancy. So Rochelle and Nancy are our new people. I'm here to talk about, so Washington Filmworks, if you don't know what we do, we run the official film office in Washington State, and we also run the incentive program. Who knows about the incentive program? Wow, not enough people. So the incentive is responsible for bringing in some of those bigger projects. We have been the host to Z Nation, the sci-fi series, for the last 5 years. We are at Washington, we have a $3.5 million fund to facilitate production in the state. It is the 4th smallest fund in the country. It's not big enough. So we are headed to Olympia for something called Film Day. Who's been to Film Day? I know there's more than, thank you, Kate. Film Day in Olympia is an opportunity to talk to elected officials about why film is important in Washington State. It's also a great opportunity to talk to people in the community outside of Seattle, because we have people come in from all over the state, and we'd love to see you there. I will also mention that we are about to, if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, I'd encourage you to do so. We are about to announce a brand new funding strategy, which we're going to do on Monday, maybe Tuesday, depending how it all goes. But we're doing that, and we're really excited about it, so sign up for our newsletter, or I'll talk about it at Film Day. Hopefully we'll see you there. So thanks.
Are you ready to rock?
Have to get off to show the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna sit here very briefly. We're gonna have a video to show you, right?
Wait, no, not right away.
Oh, not.
Hello, humans.
Mic check. Mic check. All right.
So thank you for coming out today. We're just going to briefly introduce ourselves before we get into it. I'm Vivian Hua. I'm the new-ish executive director at Northwest Film Forum. If you don't know of us, we're in Capitol Hill. We're an independent cinema that does everything from beginning education for new filmmakers to exhibition and everything in between. I'm facilitating the conversation today. I've been on the road sort of with these guys a little bit, talking to them about their film, and I will let them introduce themselves next.
My name is Bao Tran, writer-director here in town, writer-director of Paper Tigers, and to see many familiar faces and new faces.
My name is Alan Duong, and I'm the producer of the Paper Tigers, and I've been on this project with Bao for the past 4 years.
And I'm Dan Gildark. I'm a producer on the film as well. I'm the newbie. I've only been on for about 2.5 years.
All things told. So you get an AA, you get a bachelor's.
Yeah.
So the structure of this is we're going to show you this trailer so you can get super excited, and then we're going to talk a little about the industry and about just the situation with their film, and then following that open it up for a Q&A. So keep those burning questions in your mind. All right, here we go.
this?
Carter? He said his done for was better, so I challenged him to a Baymont.
Your brother's with me. Our kung fu is to help, not to hurt. Don't make the same mistakes that I made. No more Baymont. No more challenges. Your bad self.
Looks like it's ladies' night.
Here's some music, some music.
Hey, Danny. You ready for the fight? No, what are you playing, man? You look like you're out of a kung fu movie.
Whoa, no, shrimp fortune cookie. Hey, hey! You ready?
Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is kind of why we're talking about these things together between our organizations, because the connection isn't necessarily super apparent right away, even though we are their fiscal sponsorship, or we are their fiscal sponsor at Northwest Film Forum, meaning our nonprofit status is spread to their to their film, so they can raise funds through us. But that aside, part of the reason we're working together is that we ultimately have kind of similar organizational and film goals in terms of diversifying voices who are able to come to the cinema. So I just wanted to open it up to Bao first, if you could speak a bit as to why you think the work that you're doing is important in this time right now.
I think it's not just important, it's probably the most important thing that's happening in the world.
Oh, wow.
And,
Okay, because film is the most important thing that's happening in the world. You heard it here.
You heard it here first. You heard it first. Yeah, I think it's just for us to be able to tell stories from our group and our perspective, but also to portray a community or a world that's not often seen. I think it just happens organically that our stories and our ideas kind of gravitate towards, shedding light on this particular world with Kung Fu. Kung Fu is very diverse, very wild, rambunctious history, especially here in the US. So it's not just Kung Fu in Asia 200, 300 years ago. There's a lot of great history, like here in Seattle, for example, with Bruce Lee setting down his roots here and having his first student be a black student, and just having a whole plethora of different colors as his first squad that he ran with in Seattle. They're all different colors. So that was definitely something that we wanted to uncover. Not a lot of people know about it. But also for us to kind of be able to tell our story, to show characters who grew up doing Kung Fu, not just as oh, this is the greatest thing, it's a very mystical thing, but it was like our baseball or our hobby, just like anything else. And we don't speak with accents, and we don't speak, in haikus or fortune cookies, and that's kind of the world that we want to portray, because we just love this art.
Alan or Dan? Nothing?
I think you covered it.
Okay, cool.
The greatest, right?
The greatest.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about
We only have 4 slides, FYI. So
Yeah.
we're burning through these real quick.
Okay, so I want to talk a bit. Okay, let's go back to the Green Book. Okay, let's go back to the Green Book slide. So why are we doing this work right now when there's so much progress being made in Hollywood, supposedly, to open up the doors for diversity? Would you agree with that?
Yes, no. I don't know about why now. I think just because we live in this age, so we create in the time. I don't know. We're just gonna wait 10 years and go, well, you know what? Now's the time to make a diverse movie. No, we want to tell the story and get it out there as soon as possible. So whether the timing is correct or a little far.
How long have you
Yeah.
been working on this project? then?
I've been writing this. I wrote this story in 2012. We've been development I was working for a while, so I was kind of going back to the script. The script was finally ready, like, to go out in earnest about 2014, 2015. So we've been at this for 4 years.
And how long has this team been working together?
So Bao lured me in 4 years ago, promised me a lot of riches, and Bao and I have been working together for like almost 15 years now, and we grew up the same way. Where like back in when we were like 10, we were making kung fu movies, with our friends, and so like we instantly connected back in the day, and so it was just natural to help him out with this kung fu movie. And I signed on 4 years ago, and it's been quite an experience, like explaining like what type of movie we're trying to make, when you think about 4 years ago, Black Panther was still in the works. Crazy Rich Asians didn't come out yet, and so there weren't a lot of diverse movies to point to. So when you're pitching the studio execs and stuff like that, like they're trying to gauge success by pointing at history, right? Like, well, like what a movie are you like? And it's kind of hard for us to point at an Asian American kung fu movie about these guys who are like deadbeat dads and an insurance scammer. Like we have like a different story, and they're pointing at Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, Donnie Yen, and stuff like that. And there's they just don't have that knowledge of the difference between Asians in Asia and an Asian American experience over here. Like we don't we speak English. Like that was the major thing that they kept asking us was, like, are we going to get it? Is this going to reach out to a universal audience? And so, and then now with Black Panther and Get Out and all these movies coming out, like, I think audiences are ready for more types of diverse movies, but I don't think studios are still kind of it's a wait and see mode. So yeah. Timing.
I want to ask Dan, because Dan's been in the game for a hot second. Dan, working on this project, what would you say are some kind of differences in working with it and kind of where the industry is at now with regards to working with these types of films and filmmakers and what you've experienced in the past?
Well, first I want to say one of our producers that isn't here tonight was encouraging me to come on stage and pretend like I didn't know I was white. I don't know what he was talking about, but he seemed to
You're not
funny.
white?
What?
Jello yeah, it's been a journey. It's hard to even know where to start. I guess we'll start with just what brought me into this project. So I saw these guys' work about 10 years ago. They did a film called Bookie, which was amazing. And so I just became aware of Bao, as a local filmmaker and Alan, just great local filmmakers. And met Bao a couple times, but didn't really become friends with him until about 4 years ago. We started doing a actors workshop together, and got to know him a little better and watch him work, and just super impressed with how he works. I don't want to give him too big of a head because he already has one. But
could you say that last part?
No, I think you heard me. So just super impressed with Bao as a director and a filmmaker. And he started talking about this film, and I'm a director and a producer, and I just wanted to hear more and more about it, and asked if I could sit on one of the producer calls with Alan and the other producers, and I was just immediately taken by it. And I grew up with Kung Fu too. I know that's kind of funny, but I grew up in Southern California, and would get TV out of LA, and I was an awkward, nerdy kid, and Kung Fu spoke to me. It's The Outsiders and redemption and having that integrity, and it's a genre that I've always loved. So it was a combination of the team and the genre, just like really pulled me in. But I mean, as far as back to your question, Vivian, as far as how things have changed, I made a film here like 11 years ago, and it was really, really hard then, and I expected this film to be hard.
What's the name, Dan? What's the name?
It's called Cthulhu. It's a,
I got just a quick shout out. I mean, Cthulhu is like one of the kind of pioneering films in the Pacific Northwest. So Dan is a legend and straight up
please.
G. So
Wait, say
yeah,
that last part.
So he speaks from a real experience, especially having been here for such a long time, but also making one of the major films that people who have worked on that have gone on to make kind of the other great Seattle films. Sean Porter, Megan Griffiths, on and on. So Dan's the man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that film was super hard to make, and then I came on this film. I expected it to be hard, but not this hard. So it's obviously it's a white guy sitting up here. I can't speak to the diversity side as these guys can, but I've been a witness to it, and it is amazingly hard. I feel like they've run up against roadblocks that another film wouldn't run up against. And they can speak to this a little bit more, but we've had a lot of conversations with production companies, and they've encouraged us to change the script. We have 3 characters of color, and they wanted one of them to be a white guy, and that's just not something that we're willing to budge on. And we probably would have been greenlit a long time ago if we would have played the game, but it's not how we're doing it. So I'll let these guys talk more, but I've been privileged to be on this journey, and I can just speak to my experience, and it's been amazingly hard, and there's a lot of challenges.
Yeah, I don't think we can kind of underscore the importance of seeing yourself on screen. I mean, everyone talks about that, but I'm a writer and director myself, and when I'm writing stuff, I realize it's weird. Like my scripts in my head, it's not people of color starring in them, and I have to check myself with that, and that's like the power of film that we're watching and intaking, right? Like even though I'm myself not a white person, the scripts I'm writing in my head end up being that way. I'm wondering if you all had any kind of that kind of struggle with the stories you are trying to tell, or what the importance of seeing yourself on screen has been.
I think it just starts from when you write from what you know, and there's a certain world that you're familiar with. So it starts from there. I don't really come out with like an agenda. It just kind of happens that we have a story that we want to portray. But I think that's really important as well. Kind of the after effect that happens. But also we realize when you're making the things that you're willing or not willing to budge on in terms of casting or in terms of, and you kind of like, oh yeah, this is a pretty bold, story of color or whatever. I didn't really set out to do it that specifically, but then you kind of realize how the game, makes you play a certain way, and then you're not willing to play along, and then you realize, oh, how outside that mainstream it is. Just a little thing, and it's like, yeah, so.
Well, you all have also managed to kind of go outside of, I guess, traditional means of funding the film. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, like we've done a lot of meets with a lot of studio execs from all over the place. Like I was on vacation with my family in like LA, and then all of a sudden Bao calls, hey, meet this guy from so and so, and like we've done a lot, and we keep hitting these same exact roadblocks of questioning how universal our script is. And so, after kind of a couple of years of that, you just kind of get frustrated, and so we just decided that we just needed to make the first 10 minutes of our movie to just really show what our vision is, and that's what you guys got to see in our trailer. And the great part is that we have all of our crew here. Can you raise your hands?
Shout out.
Paper Tigers.
Woo! Yeah.
So, like, you'll see a picture later of the whole crew. The whole crew is just a group of talented, diverse groups of people with like all sorts of backgrounds, and it was a good representation of Seattle right there. And so we took that footage, and we went into the packaging forum of the Frontier. I forgot what the full name of it was. Frontier.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's an international, pretty much just almost like a workshop where you submit an application, and they look at your project, and then when you get in, they teach you how to package your whole film, how to market market it, how to like network with producers, and so it was an international thing. We were like probably one of 300 applicants, and we got in internationally, and then based on our proof of concept video, we were later sent over to the Cannes Film Festival to be a part of the film market there and be in. And I was a part of the producers network over there, which is a group of like another 300-500 producers, and all day, all night, you're just pitching, practicing your craft, and learning from everyone around the world. So it was an amazing experience, and what we found out was that there was no kung fu out there. We were one of like this big ocean, and we were, but that made us stick out, and we got a lot of meetings with a lot of studios from all around the world, letting us know how to sharpen our tools, and so we took all of that knowledge and took it to Kickstarter. And our goal there was to really show that the public that there's an audience. People want to see this type of movie. We just got sick and tired of people saying no, that this won't work. And we were consulted that it was going to be difficult to raise $30,000 on Kickstarter based on what we had. And after a while, like 4 years of hearing no, it was just like, well, I mean, I've heard no before. Why don't we just make the goal 110,000? And if we achieve it, then that's a statement win for us. And we ended up raising over 124,000. So it's and so and that was 24/7 work of just being on social media, reaching out to people, and just really telling our story. That's all it took was I told my personal story, Bao's and Yuji's. Yuji's another producer of ours. He's the owner of Kona Kitchen 1 and Kona Kitchen 2 in Linwood. So please come support that. So anyway, yeah, and so and just right there, out of that win, that was a big validation to us that, that opened up so many other conversations afterwards. People reached out to us and just realized, oh, that's what you're doing. Oh, okay, I didn't know that, and then all of a sudden it's a whole new conversation. So it's we had to go through that just to tell our story, So it's been an unconventional way to, get to this point, but, it's been well worth it, but, yeah.
Nothing's been conventional about this movie. I mean, it's really just kind of highlight, the typical ideas. You have a script, you kind of shop it, you get the investors, or you get a studio to finance it, and you shoot it in one go, and then you're set, right? But for us, just because many different things about us, our film that we shot, portions of the film is when the heroes are younger. That's kind of the first 10 pages of the film, and the rest of the film is where they're adults now. Those guys, those fit, not that guys, but the fit, handsome, young, virile men are now middle-aged, fat, and out of shape, and have to avenge their master. So that's essentially where the movie ends up going. But for us, we had some money. We had a script parts of the script that we could shoot and shoot out the actors, meaning if you book these actors for this one time, they're done. You don't have to go back to them because you're going to get the middle-aged versions. We said, why not? Because at our point, it's just for us kicking and screaming and climbing, clawing as much as we can to get uphill. But it doesn't make sense. Against common wisdom, they were like, why would you do that? Because you would book everything in one go, and we have 10% of the movie. It's in the can. And we use that to go to Cannes. We use that to go to Kickstarter. And people said, don't do the Kickstarter. And now we did it, and here we are. So a lot of these things have not been conventional by any means. And I think that's part of because we're already from that misfit stance. And then, I don't want to say indie film financing is difficult all around for anybody. There are certain challenges for certain stories with certain filmmakers of color, or any type of minority roles or minority identities. Kind of makes it a little bit harder, just like Dan was saying. So yes, the funding has just been kicking and screaming and just trying to get every bit of grass to get to the end zone. I make a football analogy. Yes, go
touchdown
Hawks.
coming
go Hawks.
soon.
Yeah, touchdown.
Home runs.
Yes,
What?
gridiron football.
But it must feel good that so much of the support is grassroots, I imagine.
Yes, I think community is our film incentive. Let's put it frankly. I think there's a lot of things that a community can do that isn't about just dollars and cents, and it isn't just about like convincing the ROI of an investor. It's people who believe in it, and I think the Kickstarter was kind of our pointing, our beacon, to show that they were out there. And I use the example of Crazy Rich Asians, which is kind of who's seen Crazy Rich Asians, who's contributed to this amazing behemoth of box office. Dan cried, by the way. I just want to point out Dan cried at the end of Crazy Rich because
He's a man.
That's a universal story, right?
It is a universal
There you
story.
go.
And I was like, heart of stone. Yeah, Crazy Rich Asians is based on 3 books. There's 3, this whole series, and basically Kevin Kwan and Jonathan Chu had this as a team, and they shopped around, and they went to Netflix, and Netflix offered them a deal for basically, I think I fact-checked this, it was like high 7 figures for each stakeholder, for all 3 books to be greenlit, meaning a trilogy, right away. The problem with Netflix is that it's a big black box because you don't have a lot of, we don't know the metrics, we don't know how people are seeing it, we don't know how any type of kind of data, because Netflix is very guarded about that. And they really wanted to make a play for theatrical, meaning going out to your AMCs or your Regals and having a wide theatrical release, which Netflix cannot offer. So they went to Warner Brothers and kind of got a crappier, way lower offer for just 1 picture. But they decided to take that and walk away from that Netflix sweetheart deal because there's an audience that they knew and believe is out there will come and show up for it. And another example is they also wanted to be a comp or a comparison that other filmmakers or films of color who have these same issues of bumping up to not having a precedence or not having any type of a history that they point to. They wanted to be that marker. They wanted to be that comp for subsequent films and filmmakers. And lo and behold, their gamble works, and it's a smash hit, and now they have the following 2 pictures greenlit. So that's an example of just kind of like that misfit mentality. It's like, why wouldn't you take the Netflix deal? Why? It's cush. You can like retire for the rest of your life and go on your merry way. But the idea of community was, I think, on the forefront of their minds, knowing that there's movies. This movie will have an audience, but also the community that can be built from that is just going to grow from there. So I think it's just, we're always aware of it, also who got us here and who put us on this pedestal is the community.
That is a good transition to the next slide.
But I like this picture.
This picture?
No.
This picture is a good picture. It's like Black Panther and Crazy Rich Asians together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to like kind of maybe end it on a high note and talk about films and things that have been happening recently that maybe we all are excited about that show kind of this next wave of POC filmmakers. For me, it's Get Out and Jordan Peele, because that was also a film that took him forever to make, but finally it got made and it changed the game in a lot of ways for him. So I'm curious, I guess you kind of said some
high and low notes, I guess. Well, example, I mean, it's, you see Black Panther, you see Crazy Rich, and it's just like, duh. But think of them when they were pitching this. It's not always obvious to Hollywood or things like that. But, we know there's an audience out there, and we know it exists. I think even when we were shopping our film at Cannes, that was like 3 months after Black Panther. Like, Black Panther was just killing it. And then the common wisdom before, and still is honestly, is that Black actors do not sell internationally. And there's tends to be a reticence among sales agents or distributors to purchase or pre-sale against. And yet, in the light of Black Panther, they're still going to be like, it's kind of a one-off, I think. Or, there's just so much inertia that you have to defeat or overcome. Because even here, in light of this success, there's still a lot of walls that still need to be broken down. So.
Yeah, I mean, like, studios are still playing it very safe. I mean, like, we've had sales agents explain to us that, Black Panther's success was more about Marvel than it is about the story or who's in it, and then, with Crazy Rich, it's a wait and see type of thing, and you know, everything's data driven, but the thing is that data-wise, there isn't this long history of Asian American film, African American film, or whatever it is, successful, right? And so we had no one to point to, and you know, with Crazy Rich, you know, their book sales, the majority of their sales were from middle-aged white women. It wasn't Asians, and like, you know, you
Shout out middle-aged white women.
But I mean, like, you know, like that's an example right there, is that they're ignoring that data. You know, like that's something that you should point to, that all of our stories can be universal. You know, it doesn't matter if you look alike on screen. Sometimes, you know, looking alike on screen is, you know, that much better maybe, but for some people, but in general, all these stories still are unique, you know. So yeah.
Dan, got any words?
I'm just, you know, I mean, as far as this project goes, and primarily I'm a storyteller, so it's exciting to me that this story is different. I mean, I think, you know, a lot of times our weaknesses are what really make us stand out, make us stronger. It's, I'm excited to see a different story on screen. And it's one of the reasons I'm working on this. And yeah, I can't be underestimated, I think.
That's legit. How can people support?
You want a routing number?
No, I mean, like, honestly, it's...
Yeah, no,
like,
that's for real.
No, you want to
Yeah,
wrap
that too, but I mean, like, the easiest thing is really to spread the word. I mean, this isn't, we're here doing PR talks with, like, we've gone to Google headquarters in the Bay Area, we're going to all these tech companies, and meeting up with, like, other Asian American leaders around, you know, the nation, and, you know, we're scheduled to go, I don't know where else. But, you know, like, we're hitting an audience. They're there, they're out there, and they're spreading the word, and we just need to kind of spread the word on social media that you other Asian American filmmakers have someone to point to when they're pitching their movie. You know, like that's the importance of having Paper Tigers or any other movie from an Asian, like we're not just supporting this Kung Fu movie, we're also looking out for others as well, that, you know, we can all come out, and when you pitch your movie, you can point at us, or we can point at you, or whatever it is, and just show an example of another movie that's going to succeed. You know, like everyone's a tight community, and, you know, we have a really great reach. Like through Kickstarter, Ronnie Chang from The Daily Show or Crazy Rich Asians, you know, supported us. So you'll never know how far your voice can go unless you really stand out there and just be like, you know what, I'm going to be unapologetic about what type of story I'm going to tell, what type of movie I'm going to make. You know, like, this is our story, and, you know, there's going to be people who love it, and, you know, but we're just out here to support the network of, you know, people of color in film.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we do want to shoot, hopefully, this year, so we don't keep talking at these panels. And I like you guys, but it's good. But yeah, the Kickstarter was kind of like a game changer in terms of conversations, because all of a sudden we're the hot girl again. We always were hot. We always were hot, but then they're like, oh, hey. Yeah, so Kickstarter, you know, has some legitimizing or has some glow effect, whereas before it was you know, we were having the same conversations, but then we realized the community was there, and now we have something to point to. It's like, I can't underline enough, just be able to show numbers and show an audience and show the feedback online, social media, that there's an audience. Even though people, even if you're talking to, say, POC investors, they know it's there, but it's kind of, you know, they still kind of need a little bit more nudging. Again, whatever that can help kind of make that conversation or get that people to understand and believe it. That's always been helpful. But yeah, we're trying to continue to raise funds, and hopefully we can close and shoot this and get it out there. Yeah.
All right, cool. Question time.
You want to talk about Northwest Film Forum?
Northwest Film Forum. We could also use your support. Come by. We show awesome films from all over the world and support independent filmmakers, such as these guys. Do you want to say it?
No, I just want to bring up one thing about Vivian, was that, like, you know, throughout making films in Seattle, like, I for some reason never crossed paths with Northwest Film Forum until she came up, because she was actually a mutual friend, And once we connected, you know, like I mean, this is sort of a small example of representation right here, is that, you know, there's a lot of having someone who's also Asian American just kind of help introduce to like another community that, you know, it wasn't like I was being separated or anything like that, but it just wasn't on my radar. And so, you know, having her introduce me to, you know, this other community, it's just like, you know, that's just another way of, you know, Vivian kind of, her goal of making Seattle film more inclusive. So, you know, I give credit to Vivian for that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we want to have everyone in the house, really, ideally. Yeah. Cool. Questions?
So what's your budget? Like, how much are you trying to raise before you shoot?
We'll talk after.
The question is, how much is he trying to raise before you shoot?
Well, there's still very low budget. So Kickstarter was like maybe a 10th or the 20th, 10th or 5th of the budget. So do your math. But yeah, so yeah, we definitely do want to keep talking to people and see where.
But yeah, I mean, like after Kickstarter, like we were able to raise like probably twice as much as we attempted within the first 2 years. Like literally, like
yeah,
it was the first 2 years were rough. But yeah, once we were out there, the conversations kept coming, and it was a lot easier. But there's still some work to do.
Yeah, it's funny. So just to piggyback on that, I mean, Kickstarter these days seem to either raise the entire funds, or sometimes people think, oh, that's your movie's budget. It's not. It's literally Kickstarter to get you to the next level, or to kind of like fire start the process. So there's a lot of micro budget. We're not micro budget. We're low budget, but we're not like this really minimalist type of film. You have stunts. I mean, there's a certain minimum barrier of entry for budget. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess this question maybe across the board, but you mentioned that there were aspects of your fundraising and your negotiations with people in the industry where you would not compromise. I'd love to know aspects where you were much more open to, or when it comes to the production process. Like, I guess a similar addendum would be like, how has the Paper Tigers evolved in terms of the kind of film it started out and the kind of film it is now, especially with the support you're getting?
The question is, where were you willing to budge and where were you not willing to budge? And I spaced on the last part of that question.
Basically, how Paper Tigers has evolved throughout the whole process. Yeah.
We were willing to budge on our salaries. That's the first thing to go, right?
Yeah. I mean, in general, Val just says no to everything, so it's
Typical director.
typical. No, like we've had a lot of situations where like we straight up had like it was a weird buyout deal where like they just wanted to make the movie Australian. That was like one of our first like major pitches, and then it was like, well, you know, maybe we change the cast, maybe we change the producers, and then maybe change the director too. How about we give you, I don't know, maybe $1,000, and then you know you can, you know, give us the script. And then like we were just like, this is weird. Is this how movie making is? Like, you know, like that was our first, you know, putting our toes in the pool type of situation. But you know, and then there was like other deals that were changing the cast, and but in general the story has remained the same. But like I would personally say the heart and soul of the movie just kind of grew as we kind of read the script over and over, and we kind of had a better idea of what the characters were going to be like. Like I always say to Val, like when I first got on, I was a first-time dad. And my son, so now like, you know, 4 years, he's like, this is his 5th year, so he's 5 now. So I've been working on this since my kid was born. So and you know, a part of the movie is, you know, about a dad trying to figure out what being a dad is like, and then me, I was in the martial arts for like almost 15 years, and then I blew out my knee. And then, you know, that was another aspect of this movie that I really connected with. It was like, you know, oh man, I just, and then eventually, like, you know, I've only told this story maybe once or twice publicly, but you know, eventually, like during our first crowdfunding, I found out that my son was autistic, and so that's another learning experience right there, you know. And then so through that struggle, you know, like as a producer now, like I want to have that type of heart and soul into this story, you know, as I'm learning to be a father, you know. So there's stuff like that, you know, kind of evolves while you're on this picture for like 4 years, you know, and I hope it stops there. Like, I want to finish this movie. But yeah, that's the evolution.
Yeah, I mean, it really does, any of the notes are kind of the typical, does kind of revolve around race, so it's become very rote and we kind of expect it. So there's not too many notes outside of that. So it's kind of a hard thing to say, what have we been amenable to or what we have. Yeah, of course, everything's negotiable. But I think, again, as Alan was saying, is just clarifying also in our hearts what this movie is, because, you know, sometimes you don't question what you're doing. You're going, oh, wait, oh, that's what we're doing, and it makes sense. And you just kind of continue that path. I think what happens really is when people have notes or something, it's because they're not quite getting it. That's really what it is, and that's fine if it's not for them. But when you get light bulb people who just understand and are just in and don't have notes, you know, it's like something's happening. So we can kind of believe this path and keep kind of walking down that and understanding that, you know, there is light at the end of the tunnel. So I don't know if that answers your question. There won't be any light, maybe a dim.
There'll be light.
Oh, fire.
I was wondering where you found your cast of characters and what were some of the considerations you had as you were choosing them.
Where did you find your cast and what were your considerations as you were choosing them?
For this portion of the film, yeah. So they needed to do martial arts really well, and that was kind of something that we had to start looking at. Actually, we had to go to LA and cast out of LA, and the action community and the action kind of indie action scene is pretty close-knit. You know, we can get to each other within two or three degrees. So we're all kind of aware of each other. So these are people who have done YouTube videos or done their own short films and put it online, and then like they got attention, and then they're working in Hollywood and they're doing stunts, and you know, they're doing Power Rangers, Black Panther, Civil War, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like they're out there. But they still want to do indie stuff, because even on that tip, not just you know, the minority thing, but it's just they want to do cool action movies that are creative as opposed to everything CG. So that's been our other kind of strength and pillar as far as the film that we're making, because it's authentic kung fu and authentic action and stunts, and they appreciate that. So.
Anyone else?
Nick, are you gonna shoot in Seattle?
Are you shooting in Seattle? Yay!
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we are. That deserves applause, thank you. It actually does. There's many, I'll be straight up, there's many reasons not to shoot here. And many, from a financing perspective, not to shoot here. But I think what Vivian was mentioning, community, is our film incentive. And the community, when we shot this scene, the community came out. They gave us use of their community halls for rehearsals. The food was donated, and it was just like, that's our strength.
Are you going to work with the incentive program?
No.
Are you going to work with the SAG low budget contract?
Yeah, it will be a SAG union, yeah.
So you get a bump for having a minority cast?
There is. These are very smart questions. Should I repeat these questions? These kind of coming fast.
Yeah, if you want.
They're asking about SAG and asking about all that. SAG does have a diversity, I guess you would say, an incentive where it allows kind of the threshold of your minimum wage of an actor. You can pay them at a lower rate if you have a diverse cast, or if your script has certain amounts of actors, or I think even gender too. So there is, but honestly, it's good. We're taking advantage of it, but it hasn't been updated in, frankly, 10 or 12 years, and those thresholds need updating and major refresh, because SAG is not the most responsive and not the most agile organization to be competitive for many reasons. So we take what we can get. like I said, you know, we're here now, and we're just going to make our movie, and whatever is available to us, we take it. So.
Cool. Sounds like that might be it.
I have like 100.
Wow. Same.
Well, thanks. Go check out. What?
No, thank you. Just
Okay.
say
Yeah.
no, thank you.
Check out thepapertigers.com and nwfilmforum.com. .org.
Thank you all, and if you happen to be a Kickstarter backer and you did pledge for a t-shirt, we do have some t-shirts, so come find us. Thank you. One more question.
No, what about the poster situation? I was leaving out.
Oh, the posters. Yeah, Alan.
Is that digital?
Yeah, digital posters.
It's coming.
It's coming. Photoshop crash.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.